Hey guys, what's going on? I'm John, and welcome to another episode of Collecting Dust with me, John. Thank you for finding us. You found us hopefully through our show, The Nothing Podcast, with nobody important. If you have, go enjoy that. Until then, welcome here. So this is where I show you some of my stuff in my collection. What I thought I would do was I would show you some of my Ghostbusters stuff, which I did the first episode, some. I have more, a lot more. So I'm only going to show you a bit more, but we're chipping away, you know. These are not things that I can handle because they are there, and they are dusty. So I'm not really going to do that right now. But what I will do is I will show you them, and then after we'll get some close-ups that you can see. So behind me you can see all of this Ghostbusters stuff, which is really cool. I have this poster, which I got at a Ghostbusters art exhibit a few years back. I have various styles of figures from various things. So where to start? I will show you, this is the Ghostbusters headquarters, the firehouse. I've added some pieces to it. This isn't part of it. This guy's not part of it, things like that. Just the firehouse itself. So this firehouse was from the animated series, The Real Ghostbusters, from the late 80s, early 90s. This is the original. This was out at the time of that show. I never had it. I never had a firehouse that fit. I'm all about size, right? So I want, this will come up again here. What I want is, if I have a toy and I have something like a house, I want it to be relatively the right size, okay? So this is a collection of all different brands of makes of Ghostbusters stuff so that they all fit the same size. So a couple years back at a Comic-Con, Danielle and I think it was our first Comic-Con, maybe, came across this guy being sold by a vintage toy sales desk, or whatever you want to call it. I believe I paid $90 for it.
80.
Was it 80? $80 for it, with all of its pieces missing. But it's a real deal. So I just had to have it. You know, people sell them. You can get them with the box with all the pieces still in the plastic for like $200. So for $80, it's a steal for me. It's a steal. The problem is that Comic-Con, they don't give you bags to take things home. And they don't fit. They don't have like a bag that fits this. So we literally had to carry this and lug this thing around on the train, get it home, walk back. It was a mess. I'm glad I have it. I'm glad I've now lived in two places that has room for it. But yeah, I love it. It's kind of bare bones, but it's real cool. This in here happens to be the Ecto-1 that fits directly into the firehouse. This is from the Extreme Ghostbusters TV series from the, I don't know, 2000s, I think it is. I'm not a big fan of that series. I had this from when it was out. My mother bought it for me because I've been a Ghostbusters fan my whole life. And it fits directly in the doorway of the firehouse. Here I have, I'll show you. This is a drawing of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. This was from New York Comic Con 2015. This piece was commissioned and done directly in front of Danielle, who got it for me the year before we got this, so we weren't at the con together. And she knows I love Ghostbusters, and there was this artist who did this, and he did it right in front of her. And so I keep it here with that. So up at the top, on top of the firehouse, you'll see the terror dogs that possess Louis and Dana. They are Zool and Vince Clortho. So the thing is that they are both the same figure. The thing is that there's a subtle difference between the two dogs. They're basically exactly the same, except one of them has long horns and one of them has short horns. Vince Clortho, the one who takes over Louis, has shorter horns. So what they did was they released the toy of the terror dog, and they gave you alternate horns. So you could buy two and switch the horns in and out, which is a really cool detail. I think that's really awesome. So I keep both of them up there to represent the two different. So the last thing I want to show you in here is this. This is the giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, as I call him. He is made of soft, squishy foam. As you can see, I'll move his little fingers, and you can see he's made of foam. So he is meant to be the size Stay Puft that goes with these figures here, which are the Mattel Matty Collector Ghostbuster figures. He was an exclusive to a con. I don't know which con. I will tell you here. A certain limited number of him was made, and that was it. He's very hard to come by. The problem with him is that because of the material he's made of, he yellows over time, which is what happens with this soft foam-like material. Is it yellows if it's white over time. This one's not so bad. He's inside this giant diorama that he's tied into, and the whole thing opens up to be a diorama of the city. This piece was given to me only last year by Tom Zaccheo, Tree Frog Tom, our producer on the show, as a gift for being the minister at his wedding, which I was honored to do. And he and his wife Taylor gave me this, which is incredible. It's a piece I've been after for a long time. But Tom, being a collector himself, knows the rules, and he has his own set of rules that he follows, and he knows that I have mine. And he will not let me take it out of the box. I really would love to take it out of the diorama. I'd love to have it interacting with the firehouse, but I can't do that because Tom gave me a gift with a stipulation. So I'm not allowed to take it out of the box. He made me even save the box that it came in, which I have stored away in a closet, empty. It's huge, but he will not let me get rid of it. I have to respect his wishes. He spent enough money on it, and it is a very rare collector's piece at this point. So I'm glad I have it, and he fits very well with all of my characters. I mean, there are characters here. These are all from different collections and things like that, but I don't need to go into all of them. You know, there's nothing so special about them. These guys, this is the Christmas set of Ghostbusters 2. They all came with these little Santa hats. And yes, at Christmas time, I do put these hats on them. But yeah, so that's just part of my Ghostbusters collection. It's a little haphazard, but I don't really know how to address it because there's just so many different things. Once we get to the other side, I can definitely do it a little bit more organized. But yeah, this is sort of the diorama, we'll call it, of the Ghostbusters stuff. So, let's go inside and we'll do a movie. So, here we are. Now, I covered most of my Ghostbusters movies last time I did this. I have 1,000 versions of the same things. So, my thought is going through when we're talking about Ghostbuster stuff or just kind of like random whatever, we could talk about some like classic comedies or things like that I have. So, it got me thinking because one of my favorite comedic actors, Fred Willard, passed away at the time of recording this just a few days ago, which of course is, you know, very sad. He was literally one of the funniest people to be in film. Literally in anything he's in, he's my favorite part. And like everybody knows that. But he was a big part of one of my favorite film series, which is the Christopher Guest film series. They're sort of like mockumentaries, and people know one or the other, but they don't realize that they're a set and like there's a whole collection of them. I have them all, except for the one that's a Netflix exclusive. That's not out on any home release, but I've seen it and it's great. So these movies are mockumentaries. Their scripts are about 15 pages long only, and they're made by the same directors for the most part, save for one, and a lot of the same cast. It's like basically a comedy troupe taking something very specific and doing a whole documentary on it and taking it very seriously, and it's very funny. And each one has its own niche with different people in groups of society, which is so funny. So the first one is a classic, Spinal Tap. It's the one I've actually seen the least, but I do know that it's the one that stands out for a lot of people. It was like the benchmark. This one was not directed by Christopher Guest. This one was directed by Rob Reiner, but starred a lot of the original cast as well. To my knowledge, I'm going to say that Fred Willard is in all of these. Yes, he is. He's in this one as well. This is a classic. It's great. And I almost went to see them on tour maybe 8-9 years ago. And opening for them, well, I'll get into that. So this is Spinal Tap. The movie is called This Is Spinal Tap. The next one is Waiting for Guffman, which is a lot of theater people's favorite movie. So many quotes come from this. It's about community theater, and they take it so seriously that if you do community theater, you know that this is exactly a representation of what you're feeling when you feel like you're on top of the world and what you're doing is the most important thing, when it could not be less important. So if you haven't seen any of these movies, by the way, this is the recommendation. You have to see them. Pick one and watch it. Watch them all. Waiting for Guffman is fantastic. One of Fred Willard's best performances in that movie. I'm not going to talk about him in all of them, but he's incredible in all of them. Best in Show. This one probably garnered the most success of these films when they were coming out. This was very well received. It's about dog shows. Again, you're seeing a trend. These people who run these dog shows, and they act like it's the most important thing in the world. And to them it is, but really it's not important in the grand scheme at all. So, Best in Show, an absolute classic. Again, you have to see it. Mighty Wind. And you know what's funny? Every time I get to one, I go, this is my favorite one. But they all are my favorite one. Mighty Wind, which is about a group of folk singers. It's about a group of folk singers. Excuse me, Google, I'm sorry. It's about a group of folk singers getting together and reuniting like it's the most important thing. And again, who cares? This is another one that is just so funny. And this had a couple of Oscar-nominated songs in it. And it's just a classic. And then there's this one, which is For Your Consideration, which is about a group of pretty terrible actors who suddenly end up in a movie that's could be nominated for Oscars. And it's about them leading up to potentially going to be nominated for Oscars. This is the saddest one. It's really hard to watch. Parts of it are really hard to watch because it's just about people getting disappointed. This is the only one that is not a mockumentary style. This is a scripted film, but it's real funny. This is not a Blu-ray. So what I tend to do, because I like uniformity in my collection, this entire series is out on Blu-ray. For Your Consideration may never come out on Blu-ray. It was not very successful. So what I did was I have the DVD and I had a blank Blu-ray case, which I have many because I do this on a regular. I take the Blu-ray case, I cut the DVD sleeve, and I put the DVD in the case. This is just a DVD, but it looks far better on a shelf when they're all together. The last one is Mascots. That's on Netflix. It's about the world of professional mascots. Again, a mockumentary, and just incredibly funny. Like Christopher Guest has a mind that like I can't even understand. They're so funny. And for a bonus, if you've ever seen Family Tree, which is on HBO, it was a limited series. It's this same group. Again, not a mockumentary style, but a narrative, and it's a short series, and it's incredible. It is so worth it. I've seen the whole series at least once, I think twice. But yeah, definitely check it out. So yeah, not exactly Ghostbusters, but what can you do? These are classic comedies, and these are things in my collection that are really important to me. I work on keeping them together and having them all. So yeah, that's the definition of a collection, right? So there's that, and we'll see you next week.